Hello, listeners, and welcome to this week's recording of Boomerang. Our team is made up of Peter, Jessica, Marcia, Gordon, our technician, and myself. The news this week is taken with permission from West Lothian Courier dated the 12th, although today is the 13th, and you know what that means. The news will be broken into 4 parts, and can I remind you that when you have listened to the whole recording, please post your wallet back to us from our postbox and not the post office. We will now start with part 1, which is general news. And the headline for the Courier is Vape Fire Sparks Safety Fears. And it's an article by Stuart Somerville. Sunday's disastrous fire in Glasgow city centre prompted questions on Monday morning about the danger of vapes in West Lothian businesses. Almost every community has a shop dedicated to selling vapes, small electronic smoking devices, as the trade has taken off in the last decade. Speaking at this month's meeting of Bathgate Local Area Committee, Councillor Willie Boyle asked police and fire officers for their views. I'm not expecting a definite answer today, but I think it's something we should all be looking at, he told the meeting. Jerry Hughes, the local liaison officer for the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, said battery fires were something everyone had to get better at recognising the risks. Investigators claimed that on Monday morning that the blaze was raised the B-listed Victorian building on the east corner of Union Street and Renfield Street in Glasgow city centre had its source in premises used as a vape shop near to the Union Street stairway up into Central Station. The station has been closed to passengers and disruption is likely for the rest of the week. Councillor Boyle said at the Monday morning meeting, these vapes are small electronic units. It seems to be a battery problem. We have had battery problems raised with electric vehicles, electric bicycles. This was a vape shop and there are potential risks to that. It was just to highlight because of if it is an issue, how do we get on top of it? What crossed my mind is the storage of these things. West Lothian Council's Trading Standards team has responsibilities around the sale of vapes, the overarching principle being to ensure that the products available to the consumer must be safe. There are rules which govern the correct size of nicotine tank, which is regulated by the MHRA, and checks that the vapes sold carry correct safety markings. Businesses which sell vapes have to be on a national register and can be fined if they're not. Trading Standards has no rules around vape storage. Sergeant Jamie Duthie, Bathgate's Community Policing Sergeant, told the meeting, I think high-level meetings are being carried out because of what happened in Glasgow. I would imagine trading standards would be a massive part of any meetings that take place, and certainly we'd support anything locally with regards to anything that trading standards would want to take forward, either as a single issue or with partners. Jerry Hughes said the fire service had dealt with major incident at waste transfer stations where disregarded lithium batteries had been crushed and ignited. He stressed that the difficulty lay in extinguishing a blaze started by a battery fire, which will even burn underwater. There have also been issues highlighted by the LDRS of the risk of fires in communal stairwells from battery fires on e-bikes and e-scooters. Mr. Hughes told the meeting, we can try to educate people to dispose of these batteries safely. We have to get ahead of these things and get better. There are new risks to communities and we need to tackle them head on. There's a photo along with this article and it is of the fire in Glasgow. And under the photo it says, fire in a vape shop on Sunday quickly spread throughout the Victorian B-listed buildings in Glasgow, leaving it destroyed. And now over to Peter.
Nurseries anger after council fund changes. Private nurseries have vowed to defend the principle of funding following the child. West Lothian Council voted to end early years funding for private nurseries for children living out with the county. Private nurseries intend to challenge this with a petition and have asked to address the council's education executive. The £700,000 budget savings, officers argued, would protect council-run nurseries, and there are adequate spaces for the 104 children who currently come into West Lothian to use private nurseries. Addressing the council ahead of the budget vote, Andrew Carr of First Adventures Nursery in Linlithgow is the National Day Nurseries Association chair for the West Lothian network of nurseries. He gave evidence at the start of the meeting along with a parent and other early years providers. His nursery will be directly affected as many of the families live in neighbouring council areas. He told the meeting, funding follows the child and provider neutrality support an ecosystem of ELC provision that meets both the scale and diversity of childcare needs across Scotland. For their part, PVI meet settings and childminders answer a granularity of different circumstances that the state cannot match, certainly not without attracting egregious costs. It would see the council drawing its own boundary across a national policy, a nationally funded policy, and declaring its own interests as more important than those of children and families across Scotland. His closing argument asked councillors to consider the ambitious, absolutist language used in ELC policy and questioned if they could really say they have done everything they could have done to get it right for every child. Councillors heard emotional pleas from a parent from South Queensferry whose sons use Little Bugs Nursery in Abercorn. A mother pleaded with councillors, do not make council budgets a problem for our children. There was a plea to West Lothian Council to not follow in Edinburgh Council's footsteps. Mr. Carr said this deviation from the principles of funding follows the child risks putting families in the position to lose their jobs and to upset family life to the point of traumatising young children who rely on consistency in their day-to-day lives. He said, families invest in their early years provision, where ELC policy does not support them, and the choice to keep their funding where it suits them most is their main task. Deputations also discussed implications of this decision, not only impacting the families that use funded services from outside of West Lothian. Providers in the West Lothian area have already been told that new children who live outside the council boundary will not be funded from next term, even if they have already got an accepted offer. In addition, cross-boundary children already at nursery will be forced to move places before August or lose their funded entitlement. The NADA said the parents have chosen PVI nurseries because they meet their needs. Removing children from settings where they have already formed attachments with adults and children could be distressing for them. The Scottish Government is currently reviewing the funding for the 1,140 hours of early years care. The programme gives money to local authorities for each child receiving childcare. It is a complicated logistical process. Some who work in the sector, including Sharon Fairley, who owns 2 nurseries in West Lothian, urged a rethink. She told the budget meeting that the whole system would be fairer if families were funded directly by Holyrood, rather than the ELC programme being maintained by councils. Ahead of the budget decision, a council spokesman told the local democracy reporting service, West Lothian is not alone in considering this measure. We appreciate the potential impact this proposal may have on families who live out with West Lothian and rely on established childcare arrangements, and we recognise the importance of continuity and stability for children's well-being. Should the proposal be approved, council officers would ensure clear and timely communication to allow families sufficient time to review and plan their arrangements. Council officers would also support any transition arrangements should families consider a move to one of our council establishments. And over now to Jessica.
International Women's Day march by MP. Kirstine Sullivan MP recently hosted an International Women's Day market event in the heart of Bathgate, celebrating the achievements and contributions of women across the community. The event was organised in partnership with local endometriosis campaigner Nicola and Endo Warriors of West Lothian, bringing together a range of organisations dedicated to supporting women's health, well-being and celebrating their brilliance. A number of local groups attended and hosted stalls, giving members of the public the opportunity to learn more about the work they do and the support available to women in West Lothian. Organisations present included Women's Aid West Lothian, the West Lothian 50 Plus Network and Breast Friends and Family, all of whom spoke with attendees about their services and the vital role they play in supporting women in the community. Speaking after the event, the Bathgate and Linlithgow MP said, "International Women's Day is an important opportunity to celebrate the incredible contributions women make to our communities every day. It was fantastic to see so many local organisations come together in Bathgate to showcase the work they do to support women across West Lothian." And to accompany the article, there's a nice picture of the MP, Kirstine Sullivan. She's at the event and she's surrounded by a large number of women and girls who are also enjoying learning about other opportunities open to women. And over to Marcy.
Developer Springtime Home Event. Taylor Wimpey East Scotland, is inviting home buyers across West Lothian to its Spring Into Your New Home event. The event, which will be held on Sunday, March the 22nd, from noon until 4 p.m, will offer expert guidance, exclusive incentives and fun Easter treats at two of its developments, Sybil's Wynd in Bathgate and Calderwood in East Calder. The event is designed to help buyers take their next step with confidence this spring. Visitors will be able to tour all show homes at both developments, meet the sales teams, and explore the full range of homes available to reserve. To make moving even easier and stress-free, Taylor Wimpey East Scotland will be showcasing its choice of helpful schemes available on selected new homes, including part exchange, where Taylor Wimpey becomes the guaranteed buyer of your existing property, and Easy Mover, which helps to take the stress out of selling your current home. An independent mortgage specialist will also be available throughout the event to offer free, impartial mortgage advice tailored to individual circumstances. Adding a seasonal touch, visitors can also enjoy Easter treats, including chocolate eggs, as they explore the developments and chat with the team. Kirsten McGill, Sales and Marketing Director of Taylor Wimpey East Scotland, said, "Spring is such a positive time for home buyers, and our Spring Into Your New Home event is the perfect opportunity for customers to explore two of our featured developments in West Lothian. With a great choice of homes at both Sybil's Wynd and in Bathgate and Calderwood in East Calder, plus schemes like Part Exchange and Easy Mover, we can help to make the move easier and more achievable. We're looking forward to welcoming visitors, showing them around our beautiful show homes and sharing some Easter treats to make the day even more enjoyable. For more information and the current availability, prices and incentives at these developments, visit www.taylorwimpey.co./Calderwood or /Sybil's Wynd. And over to Margaret.
Footpath changes are made. Plans for a footpath and cycleway to connect West Lothian's Island Village have undergone a redraw. The new plans for the path between Stoneyburn and Falthouse, 3 miles west, are set to go before council for approval in the next 2 months. But the footpath long sought by the villagers remains a distance 2 years away because of complex land negotiations. Stoneyburn residents have campaigned for the last 5 years for a footpath to connect it to Falthouse, where the nearest GP and shopping facilities are. Stoneyburn residents have long described their village as an island. Despite lying at the almost geographical centre of West Lothian, Stoneyburn has few bus connections and few pavements beyond the village boundaries, making walking hazardous along narrow and winding B roads, which are heavy with undergrowth and hedging in the summer. The path will cost around £2 million, the bulk of that absorbed by a bridge to cross the A706 road, a main road from Lanarkshire into West Lothian. In a report to the Fauldhouse and the Breich Valley Local Area Committee, Graham Burton, Design Engineer Manager, said that council arborists had judged that the original line of the path between Stonyburn and the A701 would result in too many trees lost. The new plan has moved to the path further south away from the road. The report added, as a new planning application was required, officers also looked to revise the bridge design across the A706. The new planning applications, any compulsory purchase order processes, detailed design of the bridge and the section from the A706 eastwards to Stonyburn will progress in parallel, and at this time it is difficult to determine a timescale for possible construction. As there are numerous variables, however, it would potentially commence construction in around 2.5 years' time. The report concluded officers will continue to liaise with the planning department as required for the Stonyburn to A706 section of the cycleway. Appointment of a contractor to complete the construction works for the Fauldhouse to A706 is expected in the coming weeks, with an anticipated construction start in late spring 2026. The council plans to apply for funding for the project from Transport Scotland for the 2028-29 for the Stonyburn side of the path. Chairing the meeting, Councillor Craig Meek said, I thought it was important that we had this report coming back. I appreciate the work that has been undertaken. There have been some hiccups along the way. Councillor Pauline Clark said, we have been waiting a long time for this. Hopefully this time it will actually come to fruition. I'm looking forward to the next time it's presented to us. I'll have a lot more questions. And over to Peter.
Pool set to face demolition as delay rejected. It's an article by Stuart Somerville. Armadale's mothballed swimming pool could face demolition unless a new community use can be found by June. West Lothian's executive this week agreed to an 8-week community consultation to determine its future. It rejected a bid from the SNP to delay any decision for 6 months, dismissing the move as an election ploy. And Lib Dem councillor Sally Pattle told the meeting that she was flabbergasted that the pool had remained filled and maintained behind the shuttered doors since it closed in August 2023. David Baird, the council's property services manager, told the meeting that an 8-week community consultation was proposed to find a future for the building. Mr Baird said that initial talks with the local football club Armadale Thistle, whose volunteer park adjoins the pool site in the centre of the town, had come to nothing. In a report to the executive, he said, despite the best efforts of all parties and due largely to a lack of volunteers and community support, after a period of more than 12 months, ATFC have unfortunately been unable to make any tangible progress on their initial proposals, and given the ongoing holding costs being incurred by the council alongside growing questions around the building's future use, officers have advised ATFC that an alternative proposal for the former swimming pool must now be taken forward. Mr Baird told the meeting, having exhausted the discussions with ATFC, approval is sought for a statutory 8-week common good community consultation to advertise the former pool building for sale or lease on the open market, with any future net proceeds being allocated to the Armadale Common Good Fund. The community consultation should clarify what would happen to the property in the event of no offers being received. Officers consider in that scenario it would be in the best interest both of the council and the Armadale Common Good Fund for the property to be demolished, and it is recommended that this should be included and confirmed in the community consultation. Councillor Pattle said, I am absolutely flabbergasted to learn that this pool has remained filled and chemically treated and heated for about 2 years now. How much money has been spent? Mr Baird said the pool was not heated. The decision had been to maintain the pool should it be transferred to another potential owner for continued use. He added, as soon as you remove water from a pool, tiles spring, pumps seize up. I don't have exact figures to hand, but I can circulate those. He said the building remained alarmed and secured. Answering questions from the SNP, Mr Baird promised a robust consultation process. SNP Deputy Group Leader Councillor Pauline Stafford proposed an amendment calling to delay a decision for 6 months to allow the community to work up new proposals for the building under community wealth building legislation passed last month in Holywood. The SNP amendment claimed this pause will provide the local community with an opportunity to develop and present a viable proposal to retain and repurpose the former swimming pool building for community benefit. Councillor Stafford told the meeting, "This is a common good building. It belongs fundamentally to the people of Armadale and across the town. I think there is a clear desire to see this brought back into use in a way that delivers a lasting benefit to that community. We've seen decisions on common good on other community facilities rushed through, and in the case of Bubbles, the Livingston pool demolished without elected members being involved in that decision, and I don't want to see this happening in Armadale." Councillor Tom Conn said, "Not for the first time we have an amendment from the SNP that's long on words and waffle. They seem to forget the situation regarding Armadale, and Bubbles and Howden Park Centre were financially a burden for West Lothian leisure, and that's why they had to come to the council." He said the proposal to stall a consultation for 6 months was bizarre. Council leader Lawrence Fitzpatrick said if this was to be delayed for 6 months, the building would deteriorate further. On the basis of what we know, there is no evidence of a clear community desire to see it brought back into use. There are alternative swimming facilities locally. It is a fact that it was closed due to very little use and running at a significant loss. Alongside the article, there is a picture of the already closed Armadale swimming pool. And over to Jessica.
Operation aims to stop scourge of shoplifting. An article by Stuart Somerville. Shoplifting is on the increase in West Lothian, but local police claimed success in tackling offenders in Livingston's shopping centre. The police officer behind an operation launched in the summer told councillors there is always going to be an element of the crime, but officers were building intelligence on regular offenders. Councillor Danny Logue, chair of the East Calder and East Livingston Local Area Committee, said culprits stick out like a sore thumb. Some of them stick out like a sore thumb where they wear sunglasses, a hat and a scarf, keeping the scarf high around the face. It is pretty obvious, he told this month's meeting. PC Robert Montague, in his report to the committee, said West Lothian has experienced a significant increase in incidents of shoplifting across the division. In response, a targeted initiative, Operation Jackdaw, was developed in collaboration with local businesses. Funding for this initiative was provided to West Lothian by the Retail Crime Task Force in June 2025. Since the allocation of funding, 821 reports of shoplifting have been recorded, of which 322 have been solved to date, representing a solvency rate of 39.2%. The constable said a total of 133 individual offenders have been identified. Notably, 13 prolific offenders were responsible for 201 offences, accounting for 62.4% of all solved shoplifting crimes. In addition, 83 crimes against retail workers have been reported during this period. Of these, 55 have been solved, resulting in a solvency rate of 66.3%. 13 offenders were identified as being responsible for 22 of the solved offences, representing 40% of all solved crimes against retail workers. Councillor Veronica Smith asked what kind of goods were targeted. Expensive clothing and sports goods are among the most pilfered, but groceries are also regularly stolen. PC Montague told the meeting, there's always going to be an element of shoplifting that goes on. We are trying to get as many deployments of officers as possible at the shopping centre, and we are trying to build a bigger intelligence picture as to who the regular shoplifters are. I have a good relationship with the town centre management and security staff. We have close communication with them. Councillor Logue said he had witnessed thieves filling trolleys and walking out past security staff, telling them to get lost, walking to their cars and loading up. PC Montague replied that officers also worked with a retail organisation on collecting information on shoplifters. And there's a picture to accompany this article of a would-be shoplifter with his jacket half undone, pulling up the zip, and underneath he's got a bottle of Smirnoff vodka and a bottle of Jack Daniels. I don't think he was successful. And over to Marcy.
OAP's fear over kids e-riding around them. Fears over e-bikes and scooters in East Calder and Uphall by Stuart Somerville. Pensioners in West Lothian are increasingly frightened by the number of children and teenagers using e-scooters and electric bikes on pavements, councillors have heard. Councillor John Carl, who is in his 70s, told fellow councillors many constituents, most of them younger than me, had raised concerns in East Calder and Uphall Station. I have had 5 different people coming to see me last month about this in different areas. If the police can help in any way at all, that would be great, the councillor told PC Robert Montague. Councillor John told a meeting of East Livingston and East Calder Local Area Committee he had heard reports about children riding e-scooters to Calderwood Primary School. They say they can't go on the road because the road's not adopted, which I think is true, so they say the only way they can get down to school is on the pavement. I don't know if the schools could be asked, or through the police visiting the schools, ask the teachers to point out to children that older people may be hard of hearing, short of sight, and maybe just can't move out of the way as quickly as possible. Councillors across West Lothian have raised fears about the spread of e-scooters and e-bikes in recent years, citing dangers of speed and their use on the road and pavements. Councillor John said he had also received complaints about people using electric bikes and motorcycles on footpaths. He added, the council has put staggered gates on most footpaths, which has certainly helped. But I am getting people complaining that elderly people especially are scared to go on the paths because of most of the youngsters whizzing up and down on electric bikes and electric scooters. PC Montague told the local area committee there are information leaflets with regard to the electric scooters and electric bikes. It is very difficult for us to try and catch some of them because they don't always abide by the law of stopping when a police vehicle or a police officer tries to stop them. These items are readily available on the internet, and we have put out information on social media. It is illegal for you to have these motor vehicles on the road. Technically, electric bikes and electric scooters would be classified as a motor vehicle. It needs to be registered and have indicators and everything like that for you to be able to have that. We will reach out to all the primary schools. In the past, Police Scotland officers have told councillors that Holyrood legislation needs to be brought into control of the supply of the scooters. In some UK cities, e-bikes and e-scooters are allowed and provided by commercial operators, including Salford. E-bikes and e-scooters can only be used legally on private land. To use one on the road, even though most people will have witnessed it, is illegal under the Road Traffic Act. The vehicles are classified as a motor vehicle and riders need a licence and insurance. And there's a photograph of an e-scooter used by kids, and there's a bike here, an e-bike with fat tyres and some policemen checking it, and a councillor Carl John photograph as well. Over to Margaret.
And that brings us to the end of part 1. Welcome back to part 2, and we will start with family announcements. Intimation there is only one today. Allingham William Billy, peacefully at his home in Burnt Island on Wednesday the 4th of March 2026. William Billy, aged 71 years, formerly of Mid-Calder, beloved husband of Jean, loving dad of Ewan and Kirsty, also a much-adored grandad. He will be sadly missed. Funeral service at Rankin Funeral Director Service Room 239 High Street, Burnt Island, on Thursday the 19th of March at 10:15 a.m, to which all family and friends are respectfully invited. Thereafter to Burnt Island Cemetery for 11 a.m. Family flowers only, please. Donations in memory of Billy may be given at the service for the Marie Curie, if so desired. And more general news. Community unites to remember COVID victims. An article by Ross Thompson. Local residents, civic leaders and community representatives at a service in Livingston on Friday to mark the UK's annual COVID-19 Day of Reflection. The event took place at the COVID-19 Memorial Garden at West Lothian Council Civic Centre, where those in attendance paused to remember the lives lost during the pandemic and reflect on the impact it had on families and communities across West Lothian and the wider UK. West Lothian Provost Cathy Muldoon welcomed those attending and laid a wreath in recognition of those lost during the pandemic, with Reverend Dr. Nanda Grunewald from Polbeth, Harwood, with Westkirk of Calder churches, leading a poignant remembrance prayer. The lament was led by Piper Douglas Cherry from St Margaret's Academy. Speaking after the service, Livingston MP Gregor Poynton said, "The COVID-19 pandemic changed lives across West Lothian, Scotland, the UK and across the world. Many families in West Lothian lost loved ones and many others made enormous sacrifices during an incredibly difficult time. It was therefore very important to join local residents and community leaders at the Memorial Garden in Livingston to remember those who were lost and to reflect on the impact the pandemic had on so many people. Days like this also give us an opportunity to recognise the extraordinary work of our NHS staff, care workers, key workers and volunteers who step forward to support others when our communities needed them most. Their dedication and compassion will never be forgotten. As we mark the Day of Reflection again this year, it is right that we pause to remember those who lost their lives and ensure their memory continues to be honoured in our communities. The Livingston service was held ahead of the National Day of Reflection on Sunday, March the 8th, when people across the UK will be invited to take a moment to remember those lost to COVID-19. And reflect on the pandemic's lasting impact. There's a photograph of various people paying tribute at the Memorial Garden. And now over to Peter.
Exposure incident as public thanked. A West Lothian woman appeared in court after police received multiple reports of a person exposing themselves. Officers were called to the Dean's area of Livingston on Tuesday, March the 3rd, where they arrested a 29-year-old woman. Police have thanked the public for their vigilance and for reporting this incident to the authorities. They are also asking anyone who has information on this incident to get in touch if they haven't already done so. Sergeant Brodie of Livingston Police Station said, "We would like to thank the public for their vigilance and for reporting this matter to us. The woman has been charged and appeared at Livingston Sheriff Court on Wednesday, March the 4th. Anyone with further information on this incident is asked to call 101, quoting incident number 1959 of the 3rd of March 2026, or use the Contact Us section of the Police Scotland website." And over to Jessica.
Kids' Home Plan to be redrawn by Ross Thompson. Plans to build a new residential care home for children in West Lothian have had to be redrawn because of escalating costs. The council set aside £900,000 in 2023 for a new building to replace Whitrig House in East Whitburn. However, construction costs pushed that budget to £1.2 million, so a new plan will see 2 other existing care facilities upgraded following an agreement by the council's executive this week. Whitrig House no longer meets Care Inspectorate standards. Original plans to build a new facility near Whitrig are now above the available budget. However, improvements are also required at Torcroft House in Whitburn and Letham House in Craigshill to ensure they remain compliant going forward. Under proposals developed by West Lothian Council, the existing residential house, Torcroft House in Whitburn, will be modernised and improved to provide 6 ensuite bedrooms, a welfare suite providing private space for visiting families and ancillary non-residential staff facilities. In addition, Letham House in Craigshill, Livingston would be repurposed to provide 4 ensuite bedrooms, a welfare suite and continuing care accommodation, along with non-residential staff facilities. Whitrick House will not be used as a registered residential care facility and will either be repurposed for an alternative operational use or formally declared surplus and disposed of in accordance with the Council's approved surplus property procedure. Anne McMillan, Executive Councillor for Social Work and Health Care, said, "The Council is committed to delivering new £1.35 million improved facilities that will meet the needs of our children and young people going forward and increase our capacity to provide care and support locally." And over to Marcy.
World Cup woe as no general extension to licensing hours. West Lothian will not follow its neighbours with a general extension to licensing hours during the World Cup. Falkirk, Edinburgh and East Lothian have all agreed elements of a general extension, with the capitals being the most generous through the tournament later this year. But local pubs and clubs which want to stay open for Scotland's opening game against Haiti on the 14th of June will have to apply for a licence to keep their doors open until beyond 2 a.m. The Scotland squad will kick off the first World Cup in almost 30 years. Most local councils have introduced elements of a general extension. Falkirk's rule applies to only Scotland's games, including Haiti, Morocco and Brazil. These two latter games have kick-off times of 11 p.m. rather than the 2 a.m. start in the Haiti match. The once-in-a-generation event, as the competition has been dubbed, could see a big boost in takings for licensed premises, which have taken a financial battering since the COVID lockdown in March 2020. A spokesperson for the council said, "After consideration, the West Lothian Licensing Board has determined that it will not grant a general extension of licensed hours for the FIFA World Cup 2026. Licence holders of licensed premises permitted to televise sport wishing to extend their licensed hours for the purpose of televising Scotland matches will be required to submit an application for extended hours. To ensure that applications are processed before the commencement of the World Cup, applications should be submitted no later than March the 31st. A list of the conditions which may be attached will be published online at www.westlothian.gov.uk/licensing by March the 17th. Over to Margaret.
New safety measure will not stop speeding drivers. An article by Ross Thompson. New road safety measures in Bathgate will do nothing to stop speeding drivers, councillors claimed this week. And they have warned that major road works coming to the town could add to long-running problems on the largely residential routes. Part of the problem is that accident statistics collected no longer reflect the number of accidents seen on roads, such as Kirk Road and Marjorie Bank Street. Harry Cartmill, chair of the Bathgate Local Area Committee, said he was in full agreement with SNP councillor Willie Boyle on concerns about the speed of traffic on the two roads. Councillors were reacting to an appearance by the council design engineer manager Graham Burton, who described road safety works about to start on Marjorie Bank Street's junction with Dumcross Road at its western end. Mr Burton also gave an update about a major redesign of Edinburgh Road, the main A89 route through Bathgate, which is still on course to start this summer. Councillor Cartmill said, "I'm glad that you're doing something at the junction at Drumcross Road. I was hoping there would be something in this report about the speed of traffic on Marjorie Bank Street. Willie and I are at one on this. For many years, it is something we have raised about the speed there and the amount of accidents. I hope to see something that would have addressed that. I was really hoping that I'd see something about measures for traffic calming. I don't see anything, and that's really disappointing." Councillor Cartmill said he could guarantee that cars would pass him on the street going much faster than the 30 miles per hour limit. Councillor Boyle said, "The work going on in Edinburgh Road and at Marjorie Bank Street, that's all to be welcomed, but is not dealing with the Marjorie Bank Street or Kit Road, and all this work is going to put more pressure on these roads. The councillor asserted that the criteria for recording accidents was out of date, in that it only records incidents as accidents where people are taken to hospital. These statistics bore no relation to actual numbers accidents he had seen. The whole system has changed completely. Ambulance crews are highly trained paramedics. Their recent data is to come along, triage and deal with the patient in the back of the ambulance to avoid putting them in hospital. They are capable of dealing with it the side of the road. The stats don't take account of that. We are getting false pictures. Either legislation needs to change or we have to relook at how you gather stats. Something has to give because we are using it as an excuse to say, oh, there's not really an issue. It is an issue. It's constantly an issue. The works that are being introduced are all welcome, but they are all going to put more traffic onto Kit Road and Marjoriebank Street. He called for a detailed report to come back to the committee regarding the number of cars using the two roads before the Edinburgh road work starts and once they are underway. Mr Burton outlined new plans for crossings and resurfacing to improve road safety. Responding to both councillors, he said he would take their comments to colleagues who work on road safety and the Accident Investigation and Prevention Programme. He reiterated that accident numbers had fallen because of the improvements carried out at accident hotspots. There's a photo here of a really, really badly damaged car, but it seemingly was a lucky escape for one driver. And over to Peter.
There is no downside to charity partnership, an article by Ross Thompson. Livingston Designer Outlet has announced its 2026 charity partnership with Down Syndrome Scotland, a charity dedicated to supporting people with Down syndrome and their families across Scotland. The centre will work closely with Down Syndrome Scotland to challenge outdated stereotypes and raise expectations of what people with Down syndrome can achieve. By providing a range of services, influencing public policy and changing attitudes, the charity works tirelessly towards its vision of a world where everyone with Down syndrome is valued, visible, active and given the opportunity to fulfil their potential. Throughout the year, Livingston Designer Outlet will host a series of fundraising events, awareness campaigns and interactive in-centre activities to support Down Syndrome Scotland's work across Scotland. The partnership will kick off on March the 21st, with staff wearing brightly coloured socks to mark World Down Syndrome Day, a date chosen to reflect the extra copy of chromosome 21 that people with Down syndrome have. Retailers and guests are encouraged to join in to celebrate difference and promote inclusion. Michelle Whitelaw, Centre Manager at Livingston Designer Outlet, said, "At Livingston Designer Outlet, community sits at the heart of everything we do. We are incredibly proud to be partnering with Down Syndrome Scotland for 2026. This partnership is about celebrating individuality, promoting inclusion and supporting families within our community and beyond. We look forward to working together to raise awareness and funds for such an important cause, and we can't wait to see our guests and retailers get involved throughout the year." Ashley Taylor, Events and Corporate Fundraiser at Down Syndrome Scotland, said, "We are thrilled to be chosen as Livingston's Designer Outlet's charity partner for 2026. And alongside the article, there is a picture of a number of people celebrating the announcement. And over to Jessica.
Holyrood's backing for hotel plan by Stuart Somerville. Controversial plans to convert a former farm food store in Bathgate town centre into a short-term let hotel have been backed by the Scottish Government. Developers appealed after West Lothian Council rejected the plans in September. Councillors across the Chamber and the Development Management Committee rejected the proposal, saying the room sizes were too small and with over 300 such rooms already in the town, it was an over-provision. This week, local SNP councillor Pauline Stafford reinforced her earlier criticism of the plans and expressed disappointment that the proposal would now go ahead. She told the local Democracy Reporting Service, "I am disappointed with this decision. There is an excess of short-term let accommodation in Bathgate, which to date has added very little vibrancy or vitality to the town centre. This was a poor design in a very visible and prominent location, which I felt would further detract from the long-term interests of our town centre." Philip McLean, a reporter appointed by Holyrood's Division of Planning and Environmental Appeals, backed the plans by Muir Developments Limited to convert the former store in South Bridge Street in the heart of the town into a 39-bed hotel with associated car parking. Mr McLean dismissed commentary from councillors serving on the council's DMC on the small size of the rooms and lack of staff facilities. In his judgment, he wrote, "I do not consider these design matters raised by the council to be material planning considerations in this instance. Room sizes and the choice of guest facilities are matters for a hotel operator and their chosen business model, while certain aspects of space standards are also governed by building standards." The reporter added, "Staff facilities and the welfare of employees are matters for employment law, health and safety and building standards. The council has not indicated any way in which these internal design matters might have external impacts or are otherwise material in this case." Granting planning permission, the reporter said, "The council does not present any specific evidence to explain its position that there is an over-provision of visitor accommodation in the area, although it refers to amenity, noise and waste management concerns. The actual level of existing provision is not in itself a consideration in the relevant development plan policies, which do not contain any cap or quota for visitor accommodation uses." The original planning application attracted 4 objections. One said there is no requirement for additional short-term accommodation in the area, with the former Dacol building at the rear being utilised for this purpose. Another said short-term lets, by their nature, do not provide the same stability and job opportunities for the local workforce that established businesses such as hotels and inns offer. At the September meeting, which rejected the plan, Councillor Stafford slated cramped bedrooms with not even room for a chair and lack of staff or guest facilities. Fellow SNP councillor Pauline Clark, who seconded refusal of the application, told the DMC the hotel would likely be to house homeless people and added, "I think it's doubtful this hotel will add any vitality to the town of Bathgate." Conservative group leader Councillor Damien Doran-Timpson had warned the meeting there was a danger of falling into the trap of "not on my doorstep, but somewhere else." Nevertheless, he too expressed doubts about the number and quality of jobs promised by development. With 3 former office buildings in Bathgate now either converted or in the process of conversion, short-term let accommodation appears to be an increasingly popular choice for developers looking at sites in West Lothian. And over to Marcy.
Results confirm kids near the top of the class. Primary children in West Lothian were among the best in Scotland for numeracy and literacy in 2024-25. Every measure of primary 4 and primary 7 pupils in literacy and numeracy was at least 4 percentage points above the national average. Council leader Labour's Lawrence Fitzpatrick paid tribute to staff and teachers, saying, "This is a fantastic result." Councillor Pauline Stafford, the Deputy SNP group leader, said, "Thanks for this report. There are some brilliant results in this. The Scottish Government's achievement of Curriculum for Excellence, CFE, levels for 24-25 report shows that 80.8% of P7 pupils in West Lothian are meeting the expected levels of literacy, which is more than 5 percentage points above the national average. Similarly, 84.4% of P7 pupils achieved the expected level of numeracy, which is again more than 5 percentage points above the national average. Delivering the report to the Education Executive, Geraldine Armstrong, the Council's Quality Improvement Manager, said, "As a local authority, we also perform very well in terms of others. West Lothian is ranked 6 out of 32 local authorities in Scotland. The attainment gap, which tracks the difference between the most and least affluent pupils, also narrowed in the last year. Councillor Fitzpatrick said, "I'm sure we'll all agree this is a fantastic result and we are so lucky to have such a superb support educational team in the centre and heads and teachers who are totally committed to their children and giving them the best chance in life." Executive Council for Education Andrew Maguire said, "It's fantastic that West Lothian continues to be one of the best performing areas in Scotland for primary attainment. Huge thanks to everyone who has played a role in this incredible achievement, from teachers and colleagues from across education, parents, carers, and of course our amazing pupils themselves." And over to Margaret.
And that brings us to the end of part 2. And welcome back to part 3, which includes the quiz. Remember to listen in at the start of part 4 for the answers to the quiz. So we will start. What is the meaning of the word peccadillo? Is it A, quick snack, B, minor sin or fault, C, flying visit? Which group released the album OK Computer in 1997? Was it A, Oasis, B, Blur, C, Radiohead? Ted Lowe is best remembered as a commentator for the BBC on which sport? A, darts, B, snooker, C, bowls? Who had a UK #1 single in 1972 with the song Puppy Love? Was it A, David Cassidy, B, Donny Osmond, or C, Elton John? In rugby union, Scott Quinnell made 52 appearances for which country? A, Wales, B, England, C, Scotland? And lastly, the region of Calabria is in which European country? I'll repeat that. The region of Calabria is in which European country? A, France, B, Spain, C, Italy? Well, good luck with them. And we'll give the answers in part 4. Now back to general news. Housing Initiative, an article by Rose Thompson. Contractor receives top award. The developer behind Scotland's fast-growing town has announced the winner of their inaugural Contractor of the Year award. Core Ground Contracts Limited has been named as Winchborough Development's Contractor of the Year in recognition of their recent work in the West Lothian town, which is expected to grow from a population of 6,500 to 14,500 in the next decade. Core Ground specialises in groundworks and civil engineering, infrastructure including foundations, drainage, network road constructing, curbing and concrete works. In Winchborough, they have been appointed to work on a number of projects, including the completion of footpaths and road surfacing works, which service the new Hawkhill Primary School, implemented sustainable basin upgrades at Beatley Road and surfacing and curbing works to core roads and bridges throughout the area. The award was presented to Core Ground Contracts by Winchborough Developments Commercial Manager Paul Curran, who said, "The team at Winchborough Developments are delighted to present Seamus and Paul from Core Ground Contracts with our Contractor of the Year award for their work in Winchborough during 2025. At Winchborough Developments, we are proud to work collaboratively with both the local community and our contractors to ensure that all the projects we deliver align with the vision laid out in our master plan for the area." He continued, "Core Ground always provide us with competitive quotes for small and medium-sized civil projects and deliver both quality craftsmanship and excellent health and safety when executing those projects." Seamus Flynn, co-owner of Core Ground Contractors, said, "We are very proud to receive the Contractor of the Year award from Winchborough Developments. We've enjoyed all the different projects we've been appointed to work on in Winchborough so far and look forward to another year of working alongside the team." And over to Peter.
Land Army History Talk. The next meeting of the West Lothian History and Amenity Society takes place on Wednesday, March the 18th at 7:30pm in Glenalmond Hall, Main Street, Mid-Calder. Ruth Borum, an Edinburgh researcher and historical tour guide, will be giving a talk on the Women's Land Army. It will be a lively talk and sure to be of particular interest to those who perhaps had relatives in the WLA. All welcome, visitors by donation. And back to Jessica.
Great fun on World Book Day. World Book Day was held earlier this week with pupils across West Lothian schools and nurseries taking part. This year's celebrations coincide with the National Year of Reading 2026, a campaign aimed at boosting literacy and reading for pleasure across the country. Young people are more likely to read if they see it as a fun, entertaining and social thing to do. The strategy has been developed following conversations with a range of World Book Day's stakeholders, publishers, bookshops, schools, libraries, other literacy and reading charities. Libraries in West Lothian continue to offer free book bug sessions, targeted family support and access to a wide range of books and activities all year round. These will form an important part of the year-long series of events to celebrate the National Year of Reading throughout 2026. We asked our readers for your pictures of World Book Day and you certainly didn't disappoint. And there are a lot of pictures. Now, there's one little girl, she's a princess, and she's a pink princess. I'm not just sure what her book is, but there's lots of books with princesses in the title. Another wee girl, now she's Wednesday Addams from the Addams family, so she's dressed in black, and her hair's, I don't know, I think it's her own hair she's got in pleats, and she has got a big smile on her face. So she looks the part. And then we have a book called Find the Unicorn, and the little girl holding that is dressed like a unicorn. She's got a onesie on and it's lovely colours, blue and pink and purple. Now, she's got a really realistic looking horn on the top of her head in different colours. So she's obviously gone to a lot of bother, or probably her mummy has, to make her look the part. Now, there's one wee boy in the pictures, he's Spider-Man, and he's got his Spider-Man sweatshirt on and he's holding the book. Can't just quite read it. I think it just says Spidey, ? We have a wee girl as a Gruffalo. She doesn't have her book, but I think that's what she is. And another girl, now she's holding her book up called Dork Diaries. I haven't heard of that, but she's dressed in blue denim jacket and jeans and a stripy t-shirt, so she looks exactly like the little girl on the front of the book. And the last picture we have here is two girls dressed almost identically. They're holding up the Cat in the Hat book, and they have red t-shirts and blue sort of tutu skirts, but one says Thing 1 and Thing 2, so I take it that they're characters from that book. Anyway, they've all gone to lots of bother and they're having fun reading. And over to Marcy.
Eva gains grant ahead of debut at 2026 Fringe. Rising star Eva Peroni will make her debut at Edinburgh Fringe this year. And this is an article by Ross Thompson. A young West Lothian comedian is celebrating after winning the chance to commit to comedy full-time ahead of her debut at the Edinburgh Fringe later this year. Eva Peroni has been announced as the winner of the Brass Tack Debut Fund, with the 21-year-old set to make her Fringe debut this August, supported by Red Bull UK. The Livingston local and one of the Scottish circuit's youngest comedians will perform her debut Jungled at renowned comedy venue Gilded Balloons TV at Row House this summer. The debut fund returns for its second year following a hugely successful inaugural year in 2025, which saw Edinburgh local Ayo Adenekan make his critically acclaimed debut with a sold-out run. Awards, wins and 4- and 5-star reviews across the board. Since debuting, Ayo has taken the leap into full-time comedy work, signing with one of the world's leading talent agencies, United Talent, competing in the televised finals of the BBC New Comedy Awards and appearing in BBC Scotland's Hogmanay hit Queen of the New Year. Io will return to Edinburgh Fringe in 2026 with a brand new show at Monkey Barrel. Eva said, I applied for the funding because it is such an unprecedented level of support given from Brass Tacks and Red Bull, which really levels the playing field for the chosen act. I knew I wanted to debut this year, but that didn't really feel possible, knowing how much it costs to bring a show to the Fringe. This fund makes it possibly not only to do a show, but to give it a real chance too. It's almost impossible for working class acts to properly debut and make their show a success. With venue hire costs, it's unlikely you'll be able to pay for directing, marketing, production and tech, PR and more, meaning that so many incredible debut acts get lost behind acts with big agents or who are able to spend more money on their show. The fund does a lot to revive the traditional spirit of the Fringe as an open access festival where talent is able to be recognised regardless of status and wealth. It means so much to have been selected for this, especially after seeing how much success IO had with this fund last year, and I'm so excited to be working with two companies that are making an effort to bring eyes to the Scottish scene. Eva started performing comedy in Costa Rica in 2022 whilst living abroad, and now regularly performs at Scotland's biggest comedy clubs, The Stand and Monkey Barrel, all while studying for her current university degree in global law. A co-host of Mixed Bill Night Hot Comedy and a resident MC at Edinburgh's Gilded Saloon venue, Eva also reached the semi-finals of the LGBTQ+ New Comedian of the Year 2024. Jungled will see Eva take on classism at Edinburgh University, being queer in Latin America and coming to terms with where you're from. Katie Palmer, Brass Tacks Comedy, said, the success of Ayo Adanikan's debut Fringe run was beyond our wildest expectations, and it goes to show just how important this fund can be for a young comic's career. It gave Ayo the chance to fully focus on his debut show at what can be a very intimidating and intense festival without worrying about the huge financial risk that so many young working class comics have to take in order to debut. To be running the fund again this year is so exciting, and despite big boots to fill, I am so confident that Eva is the perfect person to do so. Eva really is one of Scotland's most talented rising stars, and she absolutely deserves a chance at the success Ayo had from this fund. And there is a picture of Eva with one eye shut and one eye open and looking funny. Over to Margaret.
This is an article from the Dogs Trust, and it's Dog Trust Pet for the Week. And it's a report it's an article by the staff reporter. Handsome Hugo is playful pooch. Handsome Hugo at Dogs Trust West Calder is a bouncy and brilliant 3-year-old collie with a zest for life and a heart full of love. Hugo is a playful pooch who is always ready for his next adventure, whether it's exploring woodland trails or sniffing out new spots on a countryside stroll around the West Calder Rehoming Centre. Hugo is happiest with his paws on the move and his nose to the ground. Not only is Hugo full of charm and character, but he is also absolutely stunning, with his sleek coat and dazzling blue eyes that sparkle with curiosity. He turns his head wherever he goes. This handsome lad definitely knows how to work his natural good looks, and he's got the personality to match. The energetic boy is looking for equally active humans who understand the fun and the challenge of high-energy breeds such as collies. He thrives with mental stimulation and enrichment. He would be the perfect companion for someone who loves training games, puzzle toys, or tossing a ball around the garden. Hugo is a quick learner and already knows a few tricks. This clever chap would love to keep impressing you as he builds his skills together. Ideally, Hugo would love to live near green spaces where he can go relaxing, traffic-free walks, as he can feel a little uneasy around busy roads or loud environments. A quiet garden where he can zoom around with his favourite toy and practice his training would be a dream come true for him. If you're looking for a cheerful, clever and affectionate companion who will keep you smiling and on your toes, Hugo might just be your perfect match. He's ready to bring endless joy, laughter and love to his forever home. Could that be with you? To find out more about all the poochies patiently waiting to be adopted at Dogs Trust, West Calder, visit dogtrust.org.uk/West Calder. And there is a photograph of Hugo, and I must say, he just looks adorable. Yeah. But they are energetic dogs. Collies, you've got to be very energetic along with them. And over to Peter.
Vehicle fires at Business Park. An article by Nicholas Malizia. West Lothian police are treating vehicle fires at a business park as willful. Emergency services raced to Thistle Business Park in Broxburn on Saturday, March the 7th at 4:10 p.m. They discovered 4 vans and a lorry engulfed in flames at a premises. No injuries are understood to have been reported as a result of the blaze. Locals reported seeing black smoke billowing into the sky during the disturbance. Officers have since opened a probe into the incident. A total of 4 appliances responded to the fires. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, around 4:10 p.m. on Saturday, 7th of March 2026, we received a report of 4 vans and a lorry on fire at a premises on East Main Street, Broxburn. There were no reports of any injuries. The fire has been treated as willful and inquiries are ongoing. A spokesperson from the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service previously told Edinburgh Live, we received calls at 3:43 p.m. on Saturday, March 7th of a fire at Thistle Business Park in Broxburn. 4 pumps were dispatched to the scene, 1 from Livingston, 1 from Bathgate and 2 from Sighthill. There are no casualties that we are aware of at this time. And back over to Jessica.
Century of championing veterans since International Women's Day 1926. Lady Higgs Poppy Factory marked its 100th anniversary on Sunday, celebrating a century of life-changing support for Scotland's veterans. Founded in the aftermath of the First World War, when Scotland faced the return of more than 100,000 wounded military personnel, Lady Dorothy Haig, pictured below in this article, has established the factory to provide meaningful and dignified work for men disabled as a result of their service. Many of these veterans had skills and experience, but their injuries meant they faced significant barriers to re-entering the workforce. The factory offered paid work in a structured, supportive environment, combining income with routine, purpose and community. Its opening on March the 8th, 1926, International Women's Day, which was not yet widely marked in Britain, has now become even more relevant given that the trailblazing Lady Haig was leading a national initiative at a time when few women held prominent public roles in civic life. From its beginnings at Whiteford House in Edinburgh, with 3 workers, a pair of scissors and a piece of paper, the factory expanded quickly, producing the distinctive 4-leafed Scottish poppy assembled by hand, as well as a range of toys and crafted household items. By the 1930s, the factory was a recognised part of Scotland's civic landscape, becoming both a workplace and a symbol of national remembrance. Today, a team of more than 30 veterans, all with supported needs, continue to manufacture thousands of handmade wreaths and other remembrance symbols from premises on the capital's Warriston Road. The factory also produces over 2.1 million poppies for the Scottish Poppy Appeal, organised annually by Poppy Scotland in October and November. Funds raised from the Scottish Poppy Appeal support Poppy Scotland's vital work, providing advice and assistance for veterans, those still serving and their families. Over the years, the factory has been visited by thousands from school groups, individuals and organisations to learn about its history and heritage, the development of the Scottish poppy and the continuing importance of remembrance. It has also welcomed royal patrons, including Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal, who officially reopened the factory following a refurbishment in January 2023. Helen Owen, chair of Poppies Scotland, said, Lady Haig was practical and compassionate and realised the difficulty many veterans faced in gaining employment because of disability after the war. A dynamo of a woman, she recognised the need not only to create Scottish poppies for Armistice Day, but to provide meaningful work all year round. The factory turned out goods of exceptional quality, and she and her band of lady collectors sold the poppies and goods across the length and breadth of Scotland. Today, the work of this remarkable woman lives on, and the factory proudly continues to play its role in supporting the armed forces community in Scotland. To learn more about the factory's history or to book a tour of Lady Haig's Poppy Factory, please visit www.poppiescotland.org.uk. And as well as the little picture of Lady Haig, they do have two pictures of men, veterans who worked in the current members who are working at the moment in 2026 in the factory, and 100 years ago, the men there. It's a black and white picture, of course, but they're all standing in front of the doors, which is signed Marriott House, Lady Haig's Poppy Factory. And they're uniformly dressed in suits, very smart, shirts and ties and flat caps. And one of the members who has a wheelchair, it looks quite a convoluted wheelchair, but he's in front as well. So from that picture to this day, there's a great difference in what they're wearing. And today they've got their polo shirts with the poppy symbol, but all doing the same work and benefiting from Lady Haig's inventiveness, I suppose you might call it. And now over to Marcy.
Swinney is blasted by Fitzpatrick. An article by Stuart Somerville. West Lothian Council's leader has called on Scotland's First Minister to apologise for his remarks on budget decisions made in Livingston last week. John Swinney told the Parliament that the Council was not following statutory guidance on nursery places. In a letter seen by the local Democracy Reporting Service, Labour councillor Lawrence Fitzpatrick branded the First Minister's comments disingenuous and deeply unfair. In his letter to Mr Swinney, Councillor Fitzpatrick said, I was perplexed and extremely disappointed to listen to you tell the Scottish Parliament last week that West Lothian Council is not following the statutory guidance in place in relation to West Lothian Council and cross-boundary nursery funding. I would request that you issue an apology to both this administration and our council officers at the earliest opportunity. Councillor Fitzpatrick, who leads the minority Labour-led administration, pointed out that SNP members of the council did not oppose proposed changes to cross-boundary funding arrangements in its own budget proposals. He added that Edinburgh's council had pursued a similar policy. In his letter, the council leader said, Scottish Government's officials confirmed to the Council 26/2/26, we appreciate that there are no statutory duties on cross-boundary provision, and statutory guidance notes that deliver to cross-boundary children should be provided on the same basis as local residents where possible. Yet you, the First Minister of Scotland, 26/2/26, misleadingly told the Scottish Parliament that statutory guidance is clear that families accessing cross-boundary placements should be treated on the same basis as families accessing provision locally. So West Lothian Council is proceeding, a Labour-led council is proceeding to not follow the statutory guidance in place. Councillor Fitzpatrick added, the context to our change is, of course, the continued insufficient level of funding provided to this council by your government. Councils, the length and breadth of Scotland, including SNP councils, face extremely difficult decisions, as we do here in West Lothian. I therefore believe your comments relating to our funding and our ability to deliver local services are disingenuous and deeply unfair. With the ongoing financial challenges faced by the council, this recent decision was based on the need to prioritise West Lothian Council resources for West Lothian's children and families. Rest assured, our officers are fully committed to supporting any transition arrangements should families consider a move to one of our council establishments. I would ask that you issue an apology to West Lothian Council at the earliest opportunity. A spokesman for the First Minister told LDRS the First Minister will respond to Mr Fitzpatrick's letter in due course. The First Minister is very clear that he expects all councils to deliver the 1,140 hours of expansion policy and ensure that families receive the support that they are entitled to. It is concerning to see decisions being taken locally that could reduce flexibility and choice. While statutory guidance recognises that there may be some instances where local authorities judge that a cross-border placement is not possible, the guidance is clear that the principles of funding follows the child should be followed to accommodate such requests in the best interests of affected children and families. Families and nursery providers have raised significant concerns about West Lothian Council's approach with Scottish ministers, and it is important for ministers to directly represent the strengths of those concerns. And over to Margaret.
And that brings us to the end of part 3. Welcome back to part 4. We start with the answers to the quiz and then some general news and sport. The first question was, what is the meaning of the word peccadillo? Was it A, quick snack, B, minor sin or fault, or C, flying visit? It was B, minor sin or fault. Question number 2. Which group released the album OK Computer in 1997? Was it A, Oasis, B, Blur, or C, Radiohead? It was C, Radiohead. Question 3. Ted Lowe is best remembered as a commentator for the BBC on which sport? Was it A, darts, B, snooker, C, bowls? It was B, snooker. Question 4. Who had a UK number 1 single in 1972 with the song Puppy Love? Was it A, David Cassidy, B, Donny Osmond, or C, Elton John? It was B, Donny Osmond. Question 5. In rugby union, Scott Quinnell made 52 appearances for which country? A, Wales, B, England, C, Scotland. It was A, Wales. And the last question, the region of Calabria, can't say it very well, is in which European country? A, France, B, Spain, or C, Italy? It's C, Italy. So I hope you got 6 out of 6. And now I've got it's an advert that we've received, a leaflet we've received for Sight Village Glasgow. It's from Sight Village, where inclusion meets innovation. And it's an event that's on Tuesday, the 17th of March 2026, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And it's in the Glasgow Science Centre in Pacific Quay in Glasgow. And Sight Village continues its long-standing mission of making life-changing information, products and support accessible to everyone. As the UK's premier exhibition for blind and partially sighted people, Sight Village has earned a strong reputation as a must-visit event for anyone interested in low vision support, assistive technology and accessible services. For more than 30 years, it has championed independence, empowerment and community connection by bringing together exhibitors offering life-enhancing solutions across mobility, education, daily living, safety, leisure, employment and digital accessibility. The event is fully hands-on, allows visitors to touch, test and experience the latest technology and specialist devices. Many exhibitors include visual impaired professionals who demonstrate how products work in everyday situations, creating a uniquely practical and supportive environment. Thousands attend each year, and the exhibition continues to grow in scale and influence. Professionals, organisations, employers and service providers return annually to stay informed about accessibility, developments and connect with the wider community. So the admission is free, and on the leaflet there's a photograph of some IT stuff. Looks like IT stuff. And just generally people looking at the various stalls that are there. So it might be something that you're interested, that you would possibly go along to see. And over to Peter.
Pie Tester Chance for One Winner, an article by Ross Thompson. Following the huge success of last year's pioneering search, Aldi Scotland is once again on the hunt for a dedicated pie tester, with pie lovers from across West Lothian now able to apply for the 2026 position. After receiving an overwhelming response in its inaugural year, the much-loved role is returning for a second time and offers one passionate pie fan the chance to sample and review Aldi Scotland's latest limited edition pie collection. The supermarket is serving up the opportunity to celebrate the launch of its latest special buy range of pies, now available across all Aldi Scotland stores. With a range of intriguing fillings from meatball marinara to Balmoral chicken, salt and chilli chicken and cauliflower, leek and truffle oil shoppers are urged to act quickly to avoid missing out, with pies in stock for a limited time only. Each pie in the range is carefully curated by local producers to meet rising customer demand for quality, fresh food and drink, which is crafted right here in the UK. Taking over the baton from Stuart McNeill, the Falkirk teacher who took the crust last year, the 2026 pie tester will embark on a flavour-filled journey, playing a pivotal role in assessing the desirability of each pie, from crust quality and filling consistency to flavour balance and overall harmony of ingredients. Their reviews and insights will be shared with customers to help guide pie purchasing decisions, and will also help inform future pie development at Aldi Scotland. To be considered, pie lovers simply have to provide a short summary of what makes them suitable for the position. Stuart McNeill, Aldi Scotland Pie Tester of 2025, said, "It was an absolute joy to be crowned Aldi Scotland's first ever pie tester. From the very first bite, it was a truly fulfilling role. As an avid pie lover, the chance to try and test a full range of delightful pies was a true slice of heaven. The range completely blew me away, with my top picks being the salt and chilli chicken curry and chicken chasney pies. If you're ready to step up to the plate, just do it. It's a cracking experience and one you'll never forget. As a thank you for their efforts, the final candidate will be treated to a year's worth of free pies." Alan Leslie, the buying director at Aldi Scotland, said, "After the fantastic response to last year's search, the decision to bring back the position for another year was, as the saying goes, as easy as pie. At Aldi Scotland, we take our pies very seriously. Our range has been carefully crafted to appeal to Scotland's love of pies, combining high-quality baking with much-loved Scottish-inspired flavours. Our 2026 pie tester will once again have the enviable task of tasting and reviewing the range to help us understand which flavours really hit the spot. If you're passionate about pastry and serious about sampling, we want to hear from you. No previous pie tasting experience is required. Applications to become Aldi Scotland's pie tester are now open. More information can be found on its website at www.aldi.co.uk/Scotland/pie tester. The deadline for applications is Friday, March the 27th. And beside the article, there is a picture of the 2025 winner, Stuart McNeill, clearly happy, and he's showing up 2 pies that he's about to eat. I'm back to Jessica.
Post office progress is welcomed by Ross Thompson. Gregor Poynton MP has welcomed positive progress towards reopening Uphall Post Office after raising concerns about the closure with Post Office Limited and the UK Government. Following representations from the Livingston constituency MP, Post Office officials have confirmed that a prospective new operator is already progressing through the onboarding and approval process to take over the branch in the same premises. This means the disruption to services in Uphall is expected to be short-term while the necessary checks and approvals are completed. Mr Poynton said this is a really positive step forward and great news for Uphall. Residents were understandably concerned about the sudden closure and the impact it was having on people who rely on local post office services. I'm pleased that a new operator is already being onboarded and that Post Office Limited has acted quickly to begin restoring services. While there may still be a short period of disruption, it is very welcome that progress is being made and that Uphall is on track to have its post office back. I'll continue to stay in touch with Post Office Limited and keep residents updated as soon as the reopening date is confirmed. During the temporary closure, customers can continue to access post office services at nearby branches in Broxburn and Decmont. Mr Poynton recently met with Blair McDougall, Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State, Minister for Small Business and Economic Transformation, to press for urgent action to secure the future of Uphall Post Office. Mr McDougall holds ministerial responsibility for the Post Office. During their meeting in Westminster, Mr Poynton outlined the impact the closure of Uphall Post Office is having on local residents, older people and small businesses who rely on services in the village. The Uphall branch on West Main Street closed following the resignation of the previous postmaster. Mr Poynton raised concerns about the disruption this has caused and sought assurances about what support the government can provide to help Post Office Limited secure a new postmaster and restore services as quickly as possible. He said the closure of Uphall Post Office has had a real and immediate impact on local constituents. For many residents and small businesses, the services provided by the Post Office are essential. I met directly with the Minister responsible for the Post Office to make clear the strength of feeling locally and to ask what support can be offered to help secure a new postmaster for Uphall. I will continue working at every level, locally and nationally, to secure the long-term future of post office provision in Uphall. The Post Office Area Change Manager wrote to residents and local representatives in February to inform them of the decision. He said, "We are writing to inform you that, regrettably, following the resignation of the postmaster, the provision of a post office service to our customers in the local community is important to us, and we will continue to work hard to restore services in the area as soon as possible." We would welcome any applications from potential retail partners interested in running a branch locally on our behalf. We apologise for the inconvenience the closure may cause. We hope that our customers will continue to use post office services and details of possible alternative post office branches in the area. A statement released by West Lothian Council earlier in the week said, Uphall Post Office on West Main Street is set to close from 6 o'clock on Wednesday, February the 18th, following the resignation of the postmaster at the branch. The Post Office is welcoming applications from interested parties to ensure a post office service can be continued in the area. And there's a photograph of the MP Gregor Poynton meeting with UK Government Minister Blair McDougall to discuss this important matter. And over to Marcy.
Plea to shop local for mum gift by Ross Thompson. West Lothian residents are being encouraged to stay close to home when finding a great gift that is as special and unique as your own mum this Mother's Day. The annual celebration takes place on Sunday, March the 15th, with a huge range of West Lothian businesses you can support if you are looking for gifts, meals or activities to mark the occasion. West Lothian's traditional town centres and villages have a number of shops, restaurants and attractions to help you find the perfect way to show your love for mum. Whatever you choose to spend your money on this Mother's Day, keeping it local helps support West Lothian jobs, supporting families and the community. According to the Centre for Local Economic Strategies, CLES, approximately 70p from every pound spent with an independent retailer stays within the local economy. Independent retailers are also more likely to live locally, so more of the money they receive will be invested back into the local community. Despite local council leader Susan Mannion, please consider keeping it local when looking for the perfect gift for the perfect mum this year. We have a number of fantastic shops, quality restaurants and amazing experiences in West Lothian for anyone looking for a gift, with a number offering bespoke or unique gifts. By keeping this local this year, you can play their part in making sure we have a vibrant local economy that helps everyone. You don't need to spend a lot of money, but even buying a small token of your appreciation will also help businesses in West Lothian. Supporting a local business means that more of every pound you spend will stay in West Lothian, creating and sustaining jobs and helping local families. And over to Margaret.
And now we'll have some sport. Red letter day for Linlithgow in friendly with French friends. Linlithgow Reds lapped up the Six Nations break by enjoying some fun in the sun against old friends Plaisir on Saturday. Having watched an epic battle between Scotland and France in the Six Nations, which Scotland won 50-40, the French Twin Towns side tackled their friends from Linlithgow in an annual friendly clash. It was a highly entertaining and fairly physical match between two well-matched teams and brilliantly refereed by Scottish panel referee Jamie McGoldrick, showing real empathy with the game and players. Strong driving play around the fringes saw Plaisir take an early lead of 19-7 with tries from centres Louis Bidard and Quentin Kubeler, and a third from captain and full-back David Charlotte. Charles Costino slotted 2 conversions to add to the visitor score. In reply, Linlithgow had scored an excellent try through the strong running of Murray Johnson, who converted his own try, with young halfbacks Ewan McCartney and Alfie Muir shaping the attack. The strong running outside backs of the host came more into play. By half-time, the scores were level at 19-19, thanks to 2 tries from full-back Ross Tulloch, one converted by Murray Johnson. The second half was just as competitive, with both sides fully deploying their benches. However, the fitness and strong running of the home side was not to be denied, and 3 further tries, all converted by Muzz, meant that Linlithgow finished on top in the scoring. The tries came from Ross Tulloch, who completed his hat-trick following a superb solo run. Ewan Curran, who was up fast to dive on the bouncing ball, following a fine kick through from John Strachan, and Archie Russock, who dotted down with a loud whoop as he finished off a fine move. Despite huge pressure late in the second half, when Plaisir were camped almost on the home team line, Linlithgow held out to deny the visitors any further scores on a great day all round for the Reds. There's various photographs of the game at different stages. I'm running, obviously, there isn't any of a try right enough, but yeah, different stages. But there's a great photograph of both teams. And instead of 2 separate teams, what they've done is they've mixed them all in amongst one another, so you've got red and blue all the way through. Looks really good. And now over to Peter.
A step in the right direction, an article by Paul Thompson. Livingston FC defender Dan Finlayson insists they are taking the right steps in the right direction under Marvin Bartley as they aim to extend their unbeaten run to 4 games away to high-flying Hibernian this weekend. The Lions remain bottom of the Premiership, but they have cut the gap to closest rivals Kilmarnock in recent weeks and now sit within 7 points of the Ayrshire side with just 9 games to go. 3 draws in the spin have helped them hone in on Kelly, and a result at Easter Road against the 5th place High Bees would be a huge boost for their survival hopes. Despite going a whopping 29 games without a win in all competitions, Finlayson feels the tide is slowly but surely turning after positive performances under new boss Bartley against Dundee, Rangers and St Mirren in their last 3 games. It is really good and really positive playing under him. The lads have taken to him really well, the 25-year-old told the club media. Obviously, Marv was here for this season anyway, so everyone knows what he's like as a guy. He is really passionate, he wants to win, and that reflects in the group. He has come in and changed the shape, which I actually think suits us, and defensively we look much better. We have defended our box really well in the last 3 or 4 games, and that's what we need to do to get ourselves out of this situation. We need to be really strong and organised defensively, and if you look at us, we are doing that. We are conceding goals where we feel we can do. You can see we are making the right steps now. We are unbeaten in 3 games. Looking at it, we have good momentum. We probably should have won the Rangers game and the St Mirren game. We came back against Dundee and probably had the best chances in that one as well. So I don't think it looks too negative. We gained another point in Kilmarnock in the last game, so we will try and stay positive. The Hibs game is a big game, and we will try to get the 3 points. The fans have been brilliant. They have stuck behind us all the way, and that's what we need in these last 9 games. Meanwhile, the boss, Bartley, admits there has been a bit of nervousness about his side in recent games, but says he has told players they must not dwell on mistakes. He said mistakes will always happen in football and in life, and it is how you react to that. But we didn't react as I needed us to against St Mirren, so that is something we will talk about. There is going to be a nervousness from the players, but they can't let mistakes get to them. There are maybe 1 or 2 players who need to get fitter. They shouldn't be like that at this stage with 9 games to go, but there is definitely some work needed with some players. We will work hard and be ready to go to Easter Road. Alongside the article is a picture of Dan Finlayson, and there's also a picture of Marvin Bartley, the manager. And over to Jessica.
Now some swimming news. Club make a splash with fine February, an article by Paul Thompson. Athletes from Bathgate-based Swim It Club have enjoyed a fine February after scoring some personal bests and enjoying their first training camp overseas. The club has been in action at home and abroad, and last event saw them compete at the Glenrothes Spring Meet, where club members Layla Besford, Olivia Mitchell, Hannah Garbas, James Dunlop, Logan Bell, Mila Lamy, Holly Watson, Sarah Sutherland, Megan Morgan, Ellie Boyd, Alex Dunlop and Aidan Thomas. Between them, they claimed an impressive 40 personal best times. Elsewhere, Gordon Haywood represented the club at the Inverclyde Master Meet, achieving a 2nd and 3rd place while setting new personal bests in both. The club also took a 16-strong squad and 4 staff members to Lanzarote last month for their first training camp abroad. Based at Barcelo Active Resort and blessed with fine weather, swimmers were pushed outside their comfort zones and have all come back fitter and faster than ever. Tony Moore also won the resort duathlon. On the trip, the team were also treated to a fun day at a local water park as a reward for all their hard work. Finally, club youngsters have also been enjoying personal training sessions at Fusion Fitness to get them in tip-top shape for upcoming events. And to accompany the article, there's lots of pictures of all the children mentioned. One of them obviously excited as they set off on their trip to Lanzarote from Edinburgh Airport, and then the others when they got there having fun around the pool and obviously trying to enjoy every minute of it. And last of all, I think when they've come back home, there's a picture of them all at Fusion Fitness getting even fitter. And over to Marcy.
3 on the spin for Rose. Linlithgow Rose gave their Lowland League title hopes a big boost on Saturday by grabbing a 3rd win on the spin. Rose edged out Caledonian Braves 1-0 at Alliance Park in Motherwell, where Lucas Stenhouse was on target. It puts them 10 behind leaders Bonnyrigg Rose with 3 games in hand, and boss Gordon Hurd said, "I thought we created a number of chances and, barring a 15-minute spell in the first half, I felt we dominated the game. Braves were a lot more direct than they normally are, but we stood up to it very well. It is another huge win on the road. We won at Cowdenbeath last week, where we had never won before, and won at Gala the week before. So to come away from the from 9 points from those games is a huge testament to the boys. I am really proud of them. Meanwhile, Rose faced Cumbernauld Colts in the semi-finals of the Lowland League Cup on Tuesday night, but Herd's men went down 4-1. Elsewhere in the Lowland League, Broxbourne Athletic were held to a 2-2 draw at home to Civil Service Strollers. This Saturday, Broxbourne travel to Cali Braves, while Rose play host to Gretna 2008. And over to Margaret.
We've now come to the end of this week's recording, and we hope you've enjoyed it. So it's goodbye from the members of the team, our engineer Gordon, our readers Peter, Jessica, Marcia, and myself, Margaret, and Heather, who has actually not been reading but working away in the background on some really needed admin. So until next team, which is Team 1, until next week, goodbye.